Pizza, the single greatest achievement of any civilization. And if you disagree, I have several free hours. Meet me in the comment section. Currently, it's 1:17 a.m. I'm eating cold pizza directly from the box and experiencing what can only be described as a spiritual event. Pizza, not a great invention, probably the greatest, along with the P&J, of course. If you haven't watched that rant, go check it out. Back to the topic at hand. I have never been more sure of anything. I have done the work. I have run the comparisons. I have considered the washer machine, the oven, the great microwave oven, the internet, democracy, the written word, and I have put them all in a room together, and pizza walked in, and everything else quietly sat down. Before pizza, humanity was attempting civilization with one hand tied behind its back. I need to set the scene. I need you to understand the world that existed before pizza so that you can properly appreciate what pizza entering that world meant. Go back to the ancient world. Go back to Rome, 200 BC, which is about as far back as we can trace the spiritual ancestors of pizza, flatbreads topped with olive oil, cheese, and herbs baked directly on hot stones. These people were onto something. These people were reaching, grasping, stretching toward an idea that their vocabulary didn't yet have words for. They were proto-pizza people, and they knew, somewhere deep in their Roman bones, that they were close to something important.
But go further back than that. Go back to the rest of human culinary history, the part before anyone had the idea of putting things on a flatbread and baking it into a unified, portable, infinitely customizable meal. Humanity, for most of its existence, had not figured out that the answer was a circle. The circle of dough that holds everything, the circle that unifies the components, the circle that takes bread and sauce and cheese and toppings and applies heat and time and produces not a collection of ingredients, but a completely new thing, a thing that is greater than the sum of its parts, a thing that smells like dinner and feels like home and tastes like whoever invented it was trying to genuinely make the world a better place. That circle was missing for most of human history. You can feel its absence everywhere. All that restless civilizational energy, all that potential, all those thousands of years of humans building things and fighting things and writing things and discovering things, and underneath all of it, a low-grade hunger that could not be named because the thing that would satisfy it hadn't been invented yet. And then someone in Naples, around the 18th century, put tomato sauce on a flatbread, added cheese, baked it in a wood-fired oven, and handed it to a poor person on the street who ate it while walking. The circle was complete. The hunger was named, and it had been pizza all along. What pizza actually is the most ambitious object ever created. I want you to look at a pizza. Really look at it. Not the casual glance you give it before eating it like an animal, but a real considered look, and tell me what you see. You see architecture. You see a structure that has been engineered across centuries of iteration to solve every problem that a meal can have simultaneously. The crust is the foundation, load-bearing, structural, designed to be rigid enough to support everything placed upon it, flexible enough to fold when necessary, doughy enough to provide substance, charred enough at the edges to provide contrast. The crust is a civil engineering problem, solved with flour and water and yeast and time, and it has been solved so completely that there is nothing left to improve. The crust is finished. The crust is done. The sauce is the mortar, the connective tissue, the layer that binds crust to cheese, that provides the acidic brightness that cuts through the richness of everything above it, that carries the herbs and garlic and the slow-cooked depth of tomato that has been reduced and concentrated into something that is technically a condiment, but is spiritually the soul of the entire enterprise. Remove the sauce and you have flatbread. Add the sauce and you have the beginning of something that could feed a civilization. The cheese is the blanket, the great unifier, the layer that accepts heat and transforms, genuinely transforms, changes its molecular structure, becomes something it was not before the oven, into a golden, bubbling, slightly blistered landscape that holds everything together and stretches when you pull a slice away, in a way that is so deeply satisfying that humanity has been filming it in slow motion for the entire history of video recording.
And then the toppings, the infinite, beautiful, endlessly debatable toppings, which are themselves a separate essay and possibly a separate religion. This structure, crust, sauce, cheese, toppings, heat, is not a recipe. It is a system. It is a platform. It is the most versatile food delivery mechanism ever engineered, capable of carrying any flavor profile, any cultural influence, any dietary preference, any occasion. Pizza for celebration, pizza for Tuesday, pizza for 3 a.m., pizza cold from the box for breakfast, which is not a compromise, but is in fact the correct way to eat leftover pizza, and anyone who reheats it in anything other than a cast iron skillet has made a choice I don't understand, but will not judge out loud. Actually, I take that back. I will accept reheated in an air fryer. Allow me to address the competition. Let me do it quickly, because honestly, the competition doesn't need much time. The wheel. Okay, kind of important. It moves things. Eliminated from consideration. Next up, fire. A little stronger argument, since it's the wood-fired oven that produces the char on the crust, the blistered bubbles on the cheese, the caramelized edges of the toppings. Fire is on pizza's payroll, but you don't give the employee the trophy. Fire is disqualified on the grounds of being a component rather than a peer. Next challenger, democracy. Democracy gave people a voice. Democracy distributed power. Democracy is one of humanity's most important hard-won political achievements. Unfortunately, it's also incredibly divisive. Half the room always thinks the other half is ruining everything. Now, the good old pizza pie has a 97% approval rating across every demographic, culture, income level, and political affiliation. Pizza has achieved something democracy has been attempting for 2,000 years. I'm not saying pizza should replace democracy. I'm saying the numbers are what they are. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the pineapple on pizza debate. Pineapple on pizza is the most argued about food question in the modern world. It has generated more passionate opinions, X-threads, comment sections on fire, and dinner table arguments than any other culinary question in recorded history. Nobody is posting manifestos about the correct way to top a bowl of soup. We argue about pizza because pizza matters, because what goes on the pizza is not a trivial question, because the pizza is significant enough that its contents are worth fighting about. However, for me personally, I do not like pineapple on my pizza, and if you do, live your best life. I'm a meat and veggies kind of guy. To be honest, all this pizza talk has me thinking about when the pizza first arrives, and you take the box from the delivery guy and feel the heat through the bottom of the box. Then you open it. That smell is majestic. That gust of steam that carries with it the baked dough, the oregano, the caramelized cheese, the sauce, the whatever you ordered, all of it combining into a single experience that is so universally understood. That smell is civilization's handshake. That smell is the international symbol for something good is about to happen here. No other food has a smell this universally recognized. No other food announces itself this way. No other food makes a room change just by entering it.
You like stats? Well, I do too. There are roughly 80,000 pizzerias in the United States. That's just the United States of America. Let that sink in. That's more than the number of McDonald's and Starbucks locations combined. Now, fact check me on this, and if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But I believe I read somewhere that Americans consume on average 50 pizza slices per year. Wow. Globally, that number sits at 100 million slices consumed daily. That is a phenomenal number. Now, if I may, I would like to touch on the tribalism between the traditional pizza and the deep dish pizza preference. I like to call it the Great Crust War. There are two kinds of pizza people in this country, and they do not attend the same Thanksgiving. Team Deep Dish, made famous in Chicago, believes pizza is a structural achievement. It's built, not made. Layers of cheese, then toppings, then sauce on top like a final judgment, all cradled in a buttery crust that could double as cookware. You need a fork, you need patience, you need 45 minutes and possibly a support beam. Tell a Chicagoan their deep dish is more of a casserole, and watch a grown adult get genuinely offended on behalf of a baked good. Meanwhile, a New Yorker will pick up a paper-thin slice, fold it in half like a business document, and eat it walking down the street without breaking stride. New Yorkers consider the 45-minute bake time a hostage situation. To them, a pizza that requires 45-minute commitment and need cutlery isn't a delicacy, it's a disgrace. That civil war will be going on forever. From Roman flatbread, oil, herbs, and a good idea that hadn't found its shape yet, to Naples, where someone finally nailed it. Dough, sauce, cheese, fire, and a circle you could eat with your hands and your whole heart. Through every pizzeria on every corner of every city, in every country that ever needed something to bring people together. Through every 2 a.m. night eating cold pizza on the living room floor, watching dating shows with your significant other, making zero apologies for any of it. Even the frozen ones, the ones tossed in a shopping cart at the 24-hour supermarket with no plan and no shame, still somehow taste like a small win. Throughout history, humanity built empires and wrote symphonies and split the atom and sequenced the genome. Humanity did extraordinary things with the time it had. And among all of those things, the most extraordinary is the one that has fed the most people. Whether you like pineapple, honey, anchovies, extra cheese, or just plain old cheese, one thing never changes. Pizza is a food that makes life better. Pizza, the circle, the culinary brilliance. It will always be the one, the only, the greatest invention ever. Rant complete, but do me a solid. Subscribe to the channel and comment below. Team Deep Dish or Team Traditional Pizza? Over and out.